And this is, I believe, it's been almost 3 months since we started the English language broadcast. And we've covered a myriad of different topics, some pretty specific in terms of thermal regulation, how your body uh, controls heat and cold. We've talked about more specific lower back pain, shoulder afflictions, that kind of thing. I think it's time to step back a bit. Um, One of the things I tell many people is that health, optimum health, and optimum fitness are fine objectives, uh, but they're also methods to obtaining other objectives. For example, to become healthy allows you to uh, enjoy your work, enjoy your family. So it's both. It's an objective and it's a methodology to obtaining something better for yourself. Fitness is the same way. Being fit and capable affects you in many ways: physical, emotional, many different ways. Uh, so it is, in and of itself, an objective. It's also a method to achieve physical excellence in some uh, athletic pursuit that you're interested in. Uh, I think that one of the major differences although health and fitness are uh, are fine objectives, and many people are absorbed with obtaining both, and they should. The guidelines of health, as designated by the World Health Organization, are very clear, and we've covered that in a previous broadcast, I believe. I'm going to go over that a bit tonight as well, just kind of a review. Fitness, on the other hand, requires consistent effort. Uh, I believe we discussed how the body's conservation of energy results in either improved performance and enhanced cardiovascular efficiency or enhanced muscularity. And opposite, uh, if you do nothing, uh, how the body will reduce the burden on its energy systems by, in some cases, shrinking your muscles, in some cases, reducing your cardiovascular capacity, because it's just not required to meet the demands, energy demands that are being placed on your body by your lifestyle. So, uh, in order to consider health and fitness as methods, you kind of have to break it down a bit. Uh, in a previous broadcast, I think initially I discussed that the health parameters as itemized by the World Health Organization's uh, ideas of what health consists of and how to maintain your health and how to avoid being sick. These guidelines are very, very clear. Uh, you stop smoking immediately. In some cases, you disassociate yourself from people who do smoke. Secondhand smoke is, in many cases, uh, as bad, if not worse, than smoking yourself, because you don't think it's bad for you. You don't think there's any consequences, and so you don't consider it an infringement on your freedoms or anything, um, anyways near that. So you tolerate it to maintain social, I guess, peace, if you want. The social concepts of these things are a little bit tricky. And currently, at least most recently, total abstinence from alcohol. I know a lot of you who are listening or who will listen to this podcast don't agree with that. So, but that is what the World Health Organization recommends. The negative ramifications of alcohol consumption, certainly in excess, not only personal in terms of internal, gradual, diminished function, but in things how you affect other people, how you enter perhaps into conflict with other people that normally you wouldn't, driving, accidents, those kinds of things. So the ramifications of alcohol consumption can be significant. Up until this point, it's the World Health Organization has understood that, and stated that 2 glasses of red wine a day is preferable to not drinking at all. The justification for that is that alcohol tends to have a positive effect on the gradual cell wall, not deterioration, but as we get older, the elasticity of the cell wall diminishes. There are a myriad of reasons why that happens. Absorption of the cell wall, absorption of cholesterol by the cell wall, several different justifications for that. But as we get older, which is one of the reasons why blood pressure rises as we get older, is that the cell wall becomes less elastic, so it doesn't distend easily. So they have advocated a little bit of alcohol is not a bad idea. In Japan, you have what is called a banshaku, which is an evening alcoholic drink before you go to sleep. I'm not trying to criticize that. I'm just trying to say that some habits in moderation are not necessarily bad for you, but you don't know. Then the World Health Organization goes along with eliminating stress or reducing stress, certainly maintaining a certain body weight and eating properly and exercising on a daily basis. So these are the different items that you should pay attention to if your health is of a major concern to you, and that health is not only an objective per se, but is it a method of enjoying life, extending life expectancy, somewhat ameliorating the negative aspects of age. So if you become familiar with these ideas, with these dictates, if you will, and how you can enhance each one and how your actions may increase the propensity for having difficulties associated with ignoring these concepts, then that will facilitate an objective of obtaining optimum health to enjoy life as we all get older. So, as I stated initially, optimum health is not only an objective, something that is valuable and as we get older becomes more and more valuable, but is also a means to an end. And that end being a variety of different things depending on your lifestyle, what you value, relationships, a myriad of different objectives. It is a good idea to keep these objectives in mind, not simply how to obtain them, because that contributes to commitment long term. These dictates by the World Health Organization are not necessarily easy for many people. Smoking is certainly, the research has shown, and most people understand, smoking is inherently bad for you, and so the motivation to stop smoking is fine, is there, and I think people pay attention to it. Drinking is something that people enjoy, and it's a social lubricant, as a friend of mine has referred to it as. And in moderation, I still believe that's fine. I enjoy a drink once in a while, as long as it doesn't lead to irresponsible behavior or accidents. I don't see the harm. Again, some people are more susceptible than others, so medical checks on a yearly basis are certainly advised. The other things, avoidance of stress, keeping your body fat down to a reasonable level, and eating properly. These things have become, people are much more aware of these than they were 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's no longer a hard sell. People understand that if they do nothing, and if they don't pay attention to these things, that there are consequences. So, enough about health. It is an objective in and of itself. It is also a method of a quantifiable improvement of your life and all aspects of your life. So, but tonight we want to focus on fitness. Health is something that affects everybody. Lack of activity, lack of ignorance of the guidelines of the World Health Organization affects everybody the same. We all have muscles and ligaments and joints and liver, kidneys, pancreas. We all have these internal organs, and they all function more or less the same way. So if we all adapt the directives of the World Health Organization, we will all be affected more or less in the same way. If you stop smoking, more or less everybody will reduce the chances of suffering the consequences of smoking. So it's not really a hard sell. We all have the same basic physiognomy, the basic elements. Fitness is a different story. Fitness depends on a great many things. It depends, of course, on your state of health. You really can't pursue an exercise program if you're sick or you have an affliction, whether it is lifestyle induced or whether it is a medical affliction. There are several different circumstances, and I understand that. The pursuit of fitness, on the other hand, is not easily adhered to. Let's face it. I've been teaching people for over 50 years. And although they initially may get motivated by perhaps an up-and-coming physical contest, fatigue that they have noticed is getting more and more difficult to function in terms of climbing stairs, of lifting objects. So they are initially positively disposed to becoming more physically capable. And thereby fitness is an objective. I wish to become more physically capable because my lifestyle dictates that I do these physical things and I would like to do them more easily. So that's the short of it, the long and short of it, really. So this is something that is understandable, but the methods you employ to achieve a level of a modicum of fitness are not particularly pleasant. They're not fun. It's kind of like, I always draw the parallel, it's kind of like brushing your teeth. It's not fun. Nobody enjoys it, but nobody really enjoys going to the dentist as well. So we brush our teeth, we take care of ourselves so we don't have to do that. Fitness, depending on the level you adhere to, can be reasonably enjoyable. This is why I caution people to start very lightly, very easily, something they can tolerate. There's a state of mind called a negative predisposition and a positive predisposition. And the negative aspect of exercise is you're tired and fatigued and you're hurt and you have muscle soreness, but that's basically from exercising beyond your capacity or exercising in a way that is not it doesn't induce progress, and it induces a state of mind where I don't want to do this. I don't want to wake up in the morning feeling like I've been hit by a truck, unless you have an objective that is meaningful to you. And then this little bit of discomfort, and sometimes considerable discomfort, can be justified in your own mind. So that positive reinforcement that exercise gives you, as long as you stay within your capacity, is easily tolerated and long-term enjoyable. If you exceed your capacity, I've been there, it's not fun, it doesn't produce or engender long-term commitment. And the thing with fitness is, in order to, as we age, we can't stop that process. And it changes. And some people it changes radically. And we're not talking about the onset of fitness or accidents. That's a separate category, just naturally. The body matures at the age of 22, maintains itself generally up until the age of 30, even if you do very little. And then there begins the gradual decline begins at 22 after you've hit physical maturity. But it's very, very light, and most people don't even notice it. And they get involved in life, work, marriage, children, the whole 9 yards. Well, then you hit 30, and maybe you begin to notice that, wow, I can't play with the kids as energetically as I once did. I can't, mowing the lawn or doing housework is something that's much more laborious task than it used to be. But most people kind of, well, that's all right, I'll get used to it, or it's not a big deal. Well, then the 40s sets in. And 40s, for most people, is when the deleterious effects of their lifestyle up until 40 begin to affect people seriously. In not many cases, but in some cases, blood pressure increases. In some cases, blood sugar increases, premature indication of diabetes. So, in your 40s, as we all should have a physical examination, these things are pointed out to us. But the physical examination is one thing. Doing something about the results of that examination seems to be a very, very difficult task for most people, partly because they don't understand how to do it, which is what I do. I instruct people what they should do with the approval of their doctors, and how they should go about what they should do to alleviate perhaps an internal function that is based on lifestyle. So, and that's okay. When you achieve the results, either health enhancement or you feel a little bit better, the difficulty, the time requirements, and the energy requirements of going to the gym between 4 and 6 days a week just seems excessive for most people. I can't tell you how many times I've been asked, isn't once a week enough? Is 30 minutes okay? And my standard answer is, it is better than nothing, but not much. Not much. If you seek improvement, it requires a level of commitment and devotion to pursuing that methodology. Now, in fitness, there are three primary phases. There's 5 phases of fitness. There's the warm-up phase, there's the aerobic phase, there's a muscular development phase, there's a flexibility phase, and there's a cool down. All of these items are, for total fitness, a good idea to pursue. Now, again, people have different objectives, and some of those objectives are specifically for example, aerobic conditioning. Well, if your objective is aerobic in nature, for example, running a marathon, swimming, any kind of a contest regarding aerobic capacity, we reviewed that, talked about that a few episodes ago. You have to put in the time. You kind of reduce the time you spend on muscular conditioning because doesn't directly contribute to your aerobic pursuit. So you prioritize which one of these phases is closest to your objective. So in order to do that, just like health, you have to know, how do I get there? What are the dictates? And we've covered aerobic conditioning. What are the dictates? What are maximum pulse rates? What are target pulse rates? How long should I do this? What should I do? These kinds of things. And you consider the negative aspects of aerobic conditioning, knee joints, lower back pain, these kinds of things. And you structure your program to avoid the negative aspects and to enhance the positive aspects, which is certainly common sense. People don't necessarily have that information. That information is readily available on the internet, but it is not individual specific. Uh, it's general information, sometimes pretty specific information, but not specific to you. And that's why most people require the help of a physical trainer. You don't require a physical trainer for life, and a responsible physical trainer should teach you about what you have to know so you don't have to retain them for your entire life. You shouldn't. And you shouldn't use personal trainers as a crutch to get you to the gym. But many people do, and many people may have very, very lucrative. Uh, it's a lucrative profession for many people. It's not without its negative aspects, but it's very rewarding. Helping people is rewarding. Uh, Showing them the way to enhance their lives is certainly rewarding. So this all is background information, really, to the topic. What do you wish to become fit for? And this requires some thought. And some people are not physically capable of achieving what they want to become fit for. For example, I want to become a professional basketball player. Well, that requires some innate talent, even though that may be your objective. And the fitness program that you pursue may allow you to learn and develop the physical capabilities of becoming a basketball player. But there is a certain thing called technique, learning the game, how to play the game, and that can be drawbacks. Of course, if you're 5'1", if you're 160 centimeters tall, the possibilities diminish. So, but in general, if it's not an extreme point of view, for example, let's take running a marathon, a full marathon, 42 kilometers. I have seen people that their physical impact is so negative. How could this person even consider running a marathon, 42 kilometers? And they have finished ahead of me, certainly, and other people. So you can't tell. You can't tell. One person comes to mind. He was in his early 50s. This person's physique is only be described as round. Very large girth, very large chest, wasn't particularly tall. And he was 51 years old, had not done anything like this in his life. And after a year of training, he finished the Honolulu Marathon a little bit later than me, but not much. He was doing fine. On the other hand, I've seen extremely muscular people who have made the mistake of relying on their muscularity to finish a marathon and have not considered what we discussed, thermal regulation, how difficult it is for the body to get rid of the heat produced by exercise. And if you have an upper body extreme muscle mass, you can't get rid of the heat fast enough. And I've seen those who look great, but they have to walk half the marathon. They can't continue. So the purpose of Kenko Dojo, what we do in English and in Japanese, is to give people the tools they need to achieve their objectives, whether it is in fitness or whether it is a health-related objective. What should they do? I am not a doctor and I am not a nutritionist, but I have a great deal, 50 years of experience with people and working with doctors and with nutritionists about general guidelines of what people should follow. This does not precurse a physical examination. It does not precurse the necessity of a physician or your annual checkups. Those are all part and parcel of the package. Things you do. If you have nutritional difficulties, if you cannot seem to lose weight, and despite what people like myself give you advice of what to do, people have, again, I say all people have the same physique and the same elements. They all livers and kidneys but that function is somewhat different from person to person. It can vary. So you need to cover that variance. individual specific variants, you need to talk to a professional to analyze what you eat and how you live. So my role is a generalist, and I am an exercise specialist. So I can talk with you and do analyze what you eat and review your medical history, and I can give you an idea of where you should go with precautions. The methodology I imply is always internal function first. So if you have no problems with elevated blood sugar or no problems with high blood pressure, then all restrictions can be lowered a bit. But if you have these difficulties, there is a way there that you can still exercise even with these difficulties. You just have to be very, very careful. But you have to be careful anyways, regardless. Many people make the mistake of doing, number one, creating an objective that is without what the possibility of achieving is very, very low, even after several months of pursuing it. I don't dissuade people from having that objective or pursuing that objective. But you have to understand, for some people, it is not as easy as it is with other people. And for that, you need to take a look at your lifestyle. So the three dictates of fitness and health are medical dictates, nutritional dictates, and exercise regimen. Those three things, that's what you have to pay attention to. And if you choose to exercise, it must be efficient, it must be effective, and it must be safe. And the interpretation of those three, efficient, effective, and safe, can vary widely from person to person. So you have to pay attention to these things. So creating an objective, a fitness objective, is a great idea. It will provide you with a level of commitment that if you don't have the objective just to be generally fit, to exercise for the purpose of exercise, to train for training's sake, does not promote long-term commitment. Let's face it. The number of people that I have trained over the years that exercise for an interpretation of fitness that they have, you see that it gradually, at first they're very enthusiastic and sometimes too much. They come to the gym every day, they work out hard. They don't get the objective, they don't achieve their objective overnight, they get discouraged, they stop. And in many cases never begin again. So create a small objective first, I would think. Something simple. Whether it is lifting a certain weight a certain number of times, whether it is walking a certain distance on a daily basis, or something that is easily achievable. So small steps, achieve that objective, and then proceed to the next level of either the same objective or change what you want to do. It happens a great deal. The body will adapt. But it will not adapt unless you impose a certain level of physical stress. You must impose a level of stress that will force the body to change, to adapt. And that's why the parameters of aerobic conditioning, 60 or 70 or 80% of your age-related maximum heart rate, maintain over a certain period of time, over a certain number of days. That's why those parameters are established. Because your body will change, it will adapt. And the level of exercise you do today will produce a good result, certainly. And the level, if you do the same level of exercise tomorrow, probably the same thing, and the next day, and the next day. But eventually, if you maintain the same level of exercise you did on day one, eventually that will not be enough to force the body to change, to adapt further, to become stronger, to become more muscularly stronger, to become more aerobically capable. It will not. The body changes on a regular basis. And if you do not change the regimen in some way, shape, or form, the body will not continue to adapt. The body is an adaptive mechanism. It adapts to the level of stress that you impose upon it, and it also adapts on the level of stress you don't impose upon it. If you do a certain exercise regimen, you will become different, usually stronger. If you do nothing, you will become different and usually weaker on a comparative level. Exercise physiology is a comparative science. It is not absolute. The tenets are absolute, but the effect of those tenets and the application of those tenets are somewhat comparative. I'd hesitate to use the word relative, the comparative. It's a comparative difference. Weakness and strength are comparative terms. They're not absolute. Weak compared to what? Strong compared to what? Physically capable compared to what? That is something that you should keep in mind when you're conducting your method to obtaining your objective. So decide where you want to go. Decide what of these three major ones, flexibility, strength, meaning muscular contraction, or aerobic capacity, which one of those is your primary methodology to employ to achieve your objective. Start small. And as you achieve each objective, you will become more physically capable, certainly, and you will also become more positively predisposed to who you are and your own capabilities. We all require a pat on the back. We all require somebody telling us that we're doing something positive. Usually that comes from a third party, somebody telling us that we are better, stronger, whatever. The good thing about training is it is self-induced. The benefits are self-induced, and the recognition, your own personal value, your sense of self-esteem is generated by you. You don't answer to anybody. If anything, you answer to science. Science dictates how you will proceed and the results that you will achieve. And science is not subjective, and it is not. It doesn't have an opinion. It is science. This is what you do. If you do this, you will change. And science dictates how you will better yourself. So it's not somebody's interpretation of how you look or how you act, it's not somebody else. You decide. And as a result, since you have progressed, your sense of self-esteem, that you are, I am capable of that. I can do that. And I can cite you time and time again, people that I have trained, and training somebody is kind of a mutual agreement. It is not easy for somebody to subjugate their sense of who they are to another person. It's very difficult for somebody to say, look, I am weak, I want to become stronger. That takes a certain amount of courage. I appreciate that. I am more than willing to help people achieve their objectives. And when they have achieved their objectives, well, you helped me so much. Yes, I provided the guidelines and showed you, but you did it. You performed the work. You established the objective. You committed yourself to a course of action. You maintained it for a long period of time, and you got where you wanted to. That's on you. It's on you. I can tell anybody how to enhance themselves, but they have to choose to do the actual performance. So it is very, very much almost a symbiotic relationship with the people that I train. But they have to take responsibility for the performance, and they have to commit. There are many people out there who need a great deal of help, who simply don't know what to do but want to. They want to better their condition. They want to get healthy. I cannot stress to anybody who sees this how unbelievably important your health is, and how the role of fitness in maintaining your health. Over the years, I have talked to many hundreds of people who have said they would give up everything they have, all their money and all their achievements, if they could simply be healthy for the foreseeable future. It's not easy. Some people, it wasn't that difficult, and I didn't require all their finances, a little bit. And some, regardless, there was just no way to help. They had gone too far down that road where the body has deteriorated to the point where it was simply not possible, either medically or through diet or through exercise, to change their situation positively. And it's sad because many of these people did everything right with their life, went to the right schools, perfectly happy, that special someone they found, they have children, and all of a sudden all that is at risk. And they would give up everything they have if they could just spend a few more years doing what to do, working or enjoying their life. It becomes, as we get older, more and more important, I think. I'll be 75 this month. And I work out a great deal, much more than I could possibly recommend to anybody. But as a result, I am still functional. And that's the important. Whether I will live longer, there are no guarantees. Anything can happen. But while I am alive, I am perfectly capable of doing what I wish to do. I am not diminished. I am enhanced by it. And this is what I wish other people could experience. And some of them do. Some of them do. Many people I've worked with maintain it for their entire life. It's maintaining this commitment to pursuing health and pursuing fitness is probably the best thing you can do. It is a primary consideration. The source of stress this is dictated by professionals. It is the primary source of stress is economic in nature. Can I pay the bills? The number two, and it's a close second, is am I going to be able to work enough to enhance or maintain my economic future? So in many cases, it goes hand in hand. So there we have it. I hope that we have not very many participants today. So I don't know if anybody is listening or not. But this will be archived. People can view it at their leisure. And people who only speak Japanese, we will probably pursue this next Tuesday evening, although we have a guest. And I think it's good to step back from what we do in terms of health and fitness to examine why we do it. Not just what should I do or how should I do it, which is important, but why am I doing this? What's my objective? Is it long life? Is it being able to climb stairs? Is it to participate in an athletic contest? And am I capable? Everybody is capable. Everybody. There have been studies. People who are the most prominent study comes to mind is in Russia. 2 groups of people. One where average age was 78. One was 28. Went through a 3-month training program. 28 years old, doubled their strength. 78 years old, tripled their strength. And then they took a month off. And in 1 month, 28-year-olds lost half of their strength, and the 78-year-olds went back to the beginning. That's age. And you can postpone the deleterious effects of age, but you can't eliminate them. Eventually, the body will give up. Eventually. Which adds poignancy to living. So, but while you're alive, being vital, being confident, being able to enjoy life, which in many respects depends on our physical capabilities. Walks in the park, as I've mentioned before, playing with children. These things take it out of you, face it. I teach judo to children, and after 2 hours of teaching children, I have to go home and take a nap. It's exhausting. Children are, and believe me, you can pursue fitness hours. You'll never be as physically capable as a 9-year-old child. You'll never be able to run as fast or for as long. Children are something else, but they're growing. And after 22, unless you put the effort in, even maintenance is a difficult task. You have to work at it. There is no, in my experience, there is no other solution except to put the time in, to be aware of what you have to do, and then pursuing them. And as I say to many people, life is not observation. Life is participation. Participating in life. That's where true satisfaction comes from. It is not necessarily the accumulation of wealth per se or material goods. It is participating, interacting, being positive, and moving forward, and having the physical capacity to enjoy the things that life has to offer. And many of us are privileged to the point we can do this. It's just a matter of exercise of will. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's provided a few, if not insights, something that people should at least consider in their pursuit of optimum health and optimum fitness. So being healthy is obvious, improved quality of life. Being fit for what? What do you want to become fit for? So I will leave you with that, and I will see you next Thursday on the English language broadcast. And if you want to practice your Japanese, you could tune in on Tuesday evenings at 7:30, same place. And we welcome your participation and your comments, and I hope to hear from you then. Thank you very much for participating. Appreciate it. Good night.